Hey, lovey-dovey's, what's crack-a-lackin' on a Wednesday? Right, it is Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. Anywho, so, can you guess it? You guessed it, that's right. Auntie Cuckoo's got another murder story for you. It's a doozy. Story of my life, right? I only give the doozies of stories to yous. But before I give you guys the key players and all the deets on this, don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Storytime Auntie Cuckoo, K-O-O. Let's do it. So, most of the people I'm friends with are around my age, so I think we all know about Lorena Bobbitt and John Bobbitt. You guys remember that? Back in the day when the whole Lion King came out and they did the song of "In the bedroom, the mighty bedroom, Lorena sharpens her knife. A wiener whack, a wiener whack." You guys remember that? Well, this is very similar. So, as usual, Auntie Cuckoo will give you guys the key players. And we have Miss Brigette Harris, who at the time of the incident was 26 years old. The other key player is Eric Woodrich. Yes, that's Daddy. Yes, aka the monster, aka the weapon, as you'll hear throughout the story. But Dad's name is Eric Goodrich. He's 55 years old when the incident takes place. Let me give you a little background. Brigette Harris was born in like 1980, I think 1981. I was going to say in the 80s, but I believe it was 1981 in Staten Island, New York. She had a rough childhood. Her dad, Eric Goodrich, was an immigrant from Liberia, but he was respected in the community and a hard worker, and like people looked up to him for working hard to bring his family here and try and be successful. Well, Daddy had some secrets. Surprise, surprise. Not only did the community look at him as like this great, wonderful man, and we all want to strive to be like Eric Goodrich, behind closed doors, he was a huge believer in corporal punishment to the extreme. When I say to the extreme, to the sadistic extreme. Twisted. You ready? You ready to hear it? Buckle up, Buttercup. As usual, this is not for the weak, faint-hearted, or young children. But, to give you guys an example, growing up, corporal punishment, I couldn't think of the sister's name, Brigette, who we're main talking about, and her older sister, Carlene, were beaten with canes, with sticks, with reeds, broomsticks, anything that would leave an open wound. To top it off, after having their beatings, their father would have them go into the kitchen and use red chili peppers, this super spicy stuff. Put it into some flour and some H2O and make a paste out of it. In those open wounds, the lacerations from the beating, he would force them to put the red pepper paste into the wounds. Could you imagine that burning sensation? Now, just in case you don't know, red pepper is what they use like in police mace, pepper spray type thing. So imagine just getting the crap beat out of you as a child, having open wounds, and then having to go make the red pepper paste that you have to put into your wounds to begin for torture, right? Like, are you kidding me? Not only was he into the corporal punishment and this severe abuse physically, but he was sexually abusing Brigette since she was, I think it was 3 years old, is when it all began. But, it's like for this child, not only did she go through this all day long, all day, every day, but even when she crawled into bed at night, she wasn't safe because Daddy would come crawling into bed with her. Could you imagine? Like, twisted. So, he was not only a pedophile, but he was very incestuous, because he's doing this with his own children. It was in 1992 that Eric decides to go back to Liberia and thinks he's like, you know what? I'm going to take my 12-year-old daughter, aka my sex toy, like how disgusting is that, with me. So he takes her with him to Liberia and continues like the physical abuse, the sexual abuse. As far as I've been able to research, not only was Daddy abusing her, but like cousins and like other family members. She was like there for the, go on Africa, do what you want with my baby. Like sick, twisted stuff. So She endures this, abuse, whatnot, for another 5 years. And when she's 18, she finally flees. She's legal. She's able to leave without any, him being able to bring her back or anything. So she bounces. She's out. Deuces, I'm out. So she comes back to New York and tries to rebuild her life. She becomes a security officer, and she gets her own little apartment. And, oh, dang, that's twice now. Sorry. Gets her own little apartment, makes her own friends and everything. And the entire time, she had no idea her sister, like I mentioned earlier, Carlene, had built a relationship back up with their dad. Well, Brigette was going to see her sister. She was told, by the way, Daddy's back and he's staying with me. Come to find out, her older sister, Carlene, had 2 small daughters, which would be Brigette's nieces. So Brigette shows up to the house. She walks in the door and she sees her dad, her abuser, sitting there with her nieces on his lap, exactly like she used to go through. Literally flashbacks of watching it. She was devastated. So she pulls her sister aside, Carlene, and confronts her and is like, what is happening? Dad abused me and whatnot. I can't believe you're letting, my nieces, your daughters, sit there and, go through this. And Carlene's like, well, Daddy abused me too. Which blows her mind. She's like, so then what the heck is happening? Why is he staying in your home? What is happening here? So she is beyond upset and devastated about this. And tries to talk to her dad, but he ain't having it. He ain't hearing it. So they end up setting up, let's meet up together separately at my home, Brigette and Daddy, Eric / Monster. Let's meet up and talk separately. So Brigette starts looking into a plan of how can I fix this to make sure this does not happen to my nieces. Because she had also heard through her sister that Grandpa, aka Daddy, the monster, had plans to take his 2 little granddaughters back to Liberia with him for a visit, whatnot. Brigette wasn't having it because she knows what that visit's about. She knows what's going to happen. So she's completely against it, and her sister isn't really saying much. She's already welcoming this monster in her home around these children. So Brigette feels she has no choice. Literally, what do you do at this point? Nobody ever saved her. No one ever took a second to help her. Who's going to help these 2 sweet, innocent young girls that are her niece, his granddaughters? So she's like, what do I do? She goes on, she Googles. She's like, Google, what do I do? Here's all the information about what sexual abuse does to children, how it affects them, the whole 9 yards. She prints all this out because she knows, like I had said a few minutes ago, that her and her dad were going to have a one-on-one. So when he comes to her house, she completely intends to have a one-on-one intervention with her dad to discuss these issues, these concerns. So she's got all the paperwork and stuff, and he comes in and they start talking, and he straight up is like, no, that never happened. I never touched you. I didn't do any of it. She's like, what? Are you kidding me? So they get into an altercation. Well, little Miss Brigette, with her security job now, she's got mace and handcuffs. She's like, let's do this, and they get in a brawl. She ends up subduing her father, not only macing him, but she gets him into handcuffs, sitting in the chair, and as he's screaming ridiculously, I'm sure as she did as a child, as she's being raped and abused, she grabs a friggin' towel and shoves it in his mouth to silence him, which I'm sure she had done to her 100 times before. So she does it. And she never had any intention of killing her father, ever. That was never the plan. That was not the plot, ever. Her intention was to ensure that he could not harm anyone else, especially her nieces. So, like I said, she's got him subdued and in handcuffs, whatnot, and she goes looking for scissors. Because the weapon that has accosted her so many times and she's afraid of is his penis. I'm going to lay it out there. We're all adults here, right? You should be, if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, you should be 18 plus. It's his penis as a weapon. She grabs a pair of scissors. As he's handcuffed and subdued, she tries to cut it off. The penis, yes, I'm talking about the penis. She tries to snip it off. That wasn't doable. It wouldn't come off that easily. She remembers she has a scalpel. So she goes and she severs that thing, man. She severs it right off. Good for you, Brigette. Good for you, babe. No one else said it, let me say it. Good for you. Anyway, so she severs it. As she severs it, again, now she's got the penis in her hand. She had done education research on, this situation. She wants to make sure this cannot be reattached, like in the Lorena Bobbitt, John Bobbitt situation. She had already researched that men's penises have been cut off and they survive. Like I said, she didn't want him to die. She just wanted to make sure he didn't have that weapon to cause harm anymore. So she chopped it off. See you later. She tried to burn it on her stove, but wasn't satisfied with that because she was still afraid they would reattach it and he'd be able to harm someone again. So she's leaving. She goes to the ocean. She chucks that little pee-wee harmful weapon into the ocean. Deuces, daddy-o weapon. You done. You out. So she calls 911. Like I said, she had no intention to kill her father. She calls 911 and says, we've got someone bleeding profusely at this, address, whatnot. And they're like, what happened? Where is he? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. It just is what it is. So she calls her sister, and her sister's like, don't go to the police station. They're going to arrest you immediately. I'll never see you again. So they meet up, they talk, they discuss, and she ends up turning herself in to the police. They confront her. She tells the stories of the horrific, not only like physical and mental abuse she went through, but the continued sexual abuse. And tells them, I literally walked in the house and seen him sitting there with my nieces on his lap, just like he used to do with me. And talking about how he was taking her to Liberia, and I ain't having it. So, they, obviously she gets charged. But the wild part, which I am like so happy about, because she deserves that. I mean, no child deserves that ever, to go through all this chaos. She deserves some friggin' leniency, and she got it until the judge. Then the judge was like, nope. So she was charged with, murder, but the jury actually dropped it down to manslaughter. Okay, now this sentence with manslaughter, the judge decides on the sentence, is anywhere from 5 years to 15 years. Here's the wild part. The jury actually felt so bad for her that they sent, I think 8 of the 12 jurors, or 8 of the 10, sent letters to the judge begging for mercy for this girl. Like, she endured trauma and abuse her entire life. She's been in jail for the last year, whatever. She's charged with this. Let's set her free. Like, jurors were writing letters to the judge pleading for leniency and mercy on this young woman. The judge, he was pissed. He scolded the jury of how dare you get caught up in this whirlwind of emotions? You guys are here to decide the law, and I'm going to give her the maximum, which is 5 to 15 year sentence for manslaughter. She didn't get charged with the murder. The judge was pissed at them. So that's what happened. She got charged with manslaughter, sentenced to 5 to 15 years, eligible for parole. I want to say it was 2012. Oh, am I lying? Let's see. I didn't read my story. Read it to you guys. I was just talking off the top of my head. Yeah, so eligible for parole in 2012. And, as I was doing the, Jesus, my cat's screaming, so it sidetracked me. As I was doing, the research again for this story, as I've known it for a few years now, it was blowing my mind that even her lawyer, not only one did he do this case pro bono, considering what this girl went through, he was going to fight for her, but he'd even said to the judge, if you release her now, I will let this woman live in my house. I will take her into my home. She's not a threat to society. She is a little girl. She's 26 years old at the time, but she's still a little girl in her heart and in her mind of what happened. I mean, she's been tormented and traumatized. So that's that story. What do you guys think? Another doozy for you from Auntie Cuckoo. Anywho, thank you guys so much for checking in. I hope you guys enjoyed another crazy story. It reminded me so much of Lorena Bobbitt. And like I said, she even referred to it. I saw, Lorena, she chopped off his pee-pee and he survived. So I wasn't trying to kill my dad. I just want to make sure he didn't have that weapon, which literally, right? We remove guns from people's hands because they're weapons. Well, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We're removing your pee-pee because it's a weapon. Because you're using it inappropriately, sir. And you gots to go, you incestuous pedophile. Bounce it out, freakoid. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking in with Auntie Cuckoo. I hope everyone is staying safe, healthy, and doing good things. I will check you on the flip side. Don't forget to like, share, and please, 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 please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Storytime Auntie Cuckoo, Kookoo. Do good things, be nice, spread love and joy.